Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. This week, I'm here, and also, John, where are you
And
at?
I'm here.
John is remote. John is at a remote location.
Yeah, secret hiding location.
Yeah. So if
Got lay low from the government.
yeah,
I don't know.
if our audio sounds off at all, that's probably why. But we are still doing the podcast because I could not wait another week to do this book, which is MiracleMan Volume 2, The Red King Syndrome. John, what did you think of MiracleMan Volume 2?
I was excited after the first one. I really liked the first MiracleMan, so I was like, okay, let's do this. And then you told me a couple little tidbits about this, and I was like, okay, that sounds like wild. Like sounds pretty intense. So let's check it out. But holy crap, I did not like you. You did not paint it as hardcore as
I tried to. I told you what I saw, and you were like, no. Or you just didn't believe, or you didn't understand what I was saying. Because
I guess I didn't understand like the full gravity of what you were saying.
yes,
But yeah, this was crazy.
yeah. So once again, this is by Alan Moore. This is like one of his first things he did. Like, I think this is
You
from
mean the original
1982.
writer?
I'm sorry. Yes, in all these books, he is called the original writer because he did not give consent or whatever to put his name in things. And then also the art is by a bunch of different artists, but they're all amazing artists. We got Alan Davis, John Ridgway, who did Hellblazer for like 40 issues. We got Chuck Austin and Rick Veitch, who also did Swamp Thing. So like, got a couple heavy hitters that also like, worked with him later on some other projects and stuff. So kind of cool. And then this book is like, I don't, like I was saying, I don't understand how he is so good at writing this early on in his career. I mean, this is from a magazine called Warrior Magazine, basically. That's why each chapter, there's a bunch of chapters in this, 12 chapters, because each chapter is like 8 pages long or 10 pages long or something. So instead of like a normal 24-page comic, these are like in smaller segments or whatever. But because it's like 2000 AD where they have like, here's 12 pages and then here's 12 pages of another thing and then here's 12 pages. So that's what this magazine was released as originally, and then they put them in these issues for Eclipse Comics. And so yeah, basically this is so good. I could not understand. I don't understand how he's so good at writing at this young of age, but fuck him, basically. So
Like you said, he came out with a full beard and just
yes,
all these ideas
and
already in his head.
a quill
Yeah,
and an inkwell in his hand, whatever the fuck he writes with. So yeah, and then some kind of magic totem or something. And yeah, I imagine we'll get to it, but you think the birth in this was much like he was birthed? but yeah. So before we spoil everything, just know it was fucking awesome. John liked it. I liked it, and can't give it any more kudos. So, but yeah, we'll just get straight into it. This book starts with the Dr. Gargunza character, who is the bad guy from like the big bad, I guess, from the previous arc that we read, where they established it. Dr. Gargunza is the guy that created the MiracleMan for the government. It's like a super soldier program, specifically the British government, and so he's in Paraguay now, or South America, and we're seeing him like on a safari. We think he's hunting a cat this whole time, and he's just talking about like how he came, like how he's describing like, oh, this thing, it's gonna be coming, it's gonna be bad, you gotta watch this, look at that cat, it's running, it's almost caught and stuff. So you're like, oh, what is he like, is he gonna shoot this cat or what's going on exactly? Then we cut to the Morans, the Moran family, uh Liz, is Liz, right?
Yeah, Liz.
Yeah,
Liz and Mike.
Liz and Mike. And so Liz and Mike are they're having marital troubles because, well, once again, we already stated that she's like, can't you be more like a Miracle Man? And he's like, God damn it, stop talking about that person. And then yeah, so they're arguing and he just feels inadequate. And I love this thing. He's got like his wife beater or whatever those are called, those undershirts that are like the Die Hard undershirt.
Yeah.
And he's got like a gut and everything. So you just really see in this panel he looks really old and really fat and not Miracle Man at all, And so you can see why.
Yeah, and she's still very preggers.
Right, and she just told him, didn't she just tell him she was pregnant from the last?
Yeah, basically that was the end of the last book.
So she already got her baby bump. So it's only been like less than a month, we're assuming. And
well, if it's a miracle baby, then
that's what. Yeah, so I'm setting that up because the baby gets born very quickly in this book, like surprisingly so. They even show it talking at a very, very early age or whatever in this. So this is not a normal baby; it's a miracle baby, like you said. Then we cut to the hospital where we see it's like the asylum hospital or whatever, where kid Miracle Man is still in a vegetative state, but inside of his head, you can see the boy Johnny is being harassed by the kid Miracle Man avatar or whatever inside of his head, and the boy Johnny is actually the boy. He's actually like 9 years old or whatever, but then kid Miracle Man is literally 35, and he's like harassing this kid. He's like, you're nothing, you can't do anything. And he's just trying to like get the kid to like come out of his shell and give him back the reins or whatever. And it's not working. He's still in a vegetative state. And so like I said, Mike is he's in his fat body, and then she's like, can't you just be like Miracle Man? And he's like, sure, whatever. He turns into Miracle Man, and then he's like, hey baby, like he comes out in his Miracle Man body, he's all shimmering. He's shimmering and naked, and she can't refuse him. She just instantly is like, let's fuck right now, like let's be together. And so don't mind that noise, that's John's phone. So
yeah, my phone went off, sorry about that.
It's okay. He does not have an R2D2 in his house. But yeah, so basically, like, that's all she wants. She just loves feeling this miracle body, like it's all sparkly.
Everything's a miracle.
And this is where you see exactly how sparkly he is and everything. I always wondered, like, because it's Alan Moore, like, is this just atomic radiation poisoning her or whatever?
I was waiting for that. Like it was going to be like Dr. Manhattan.
Yes, exactly. Just did he give you cancer or whatever? But no, this is like just he's sparkly and he like sets the atmosphere into sparkles or whatever. It's magical, and so
like making love to a carbonation. Just little sparkles, little poppings all over.
Exactly. And so, and then we cut back to another group of people who haven't seen yet, but it's Mr. Cream who's talking to the government people that he was supposedly working for in the last book. And in the last book, if you didn't listen, Mr. Cream is like a paid, not hitman, but like he's kind of like paid hitman or paid guy to like kidnap people and work for the government. And he went against the government to show Miracle Man the original lab that he was made in, and then to learn secrets about how they made Miracle Man so that he could sell them. So yeah, he's talking to this government guy, and the government guy is like, I can't believe you worked with, or you sided with him. And he's like, look, I made him an ally, you guys made him an enemy. And he's like, no, you made him a pet because you're going to use him, kind of thing. And so, yeah, Mr. Cream, basically he is going to he's trying to use him to get to Dr. Gargunza, and also like have him now protect him from these people. So like he's like, yeah, well, if he is my pet, guess what? you can't fuck with me because we're buds. So
Basically, yeah.
So,
I'm
like,
untouchable now.
yeah, I'm untouchable now, so fuck you. So they're kind of done with their relationship. And then we see at the end of this, we see um the lion or the leopard that Dr. Gargunza was hunting, and it turns out it wasn't him hunting the leopard. There was something hunting the leopard. Something we don't see it quite. We just see it slash the leopard, and Dr. Gargunza like it's time now. It has to fight. Here it comes, and then you see the leopard get like sliced open and die right there, like guts cut open and everything. So um you just like, oh, there we go, perfect, like it worked. And so and so yeah, something is waiting in Dr. Gargunza's that we don't know about. Then there was like this weird like interlude where like Miracle Man's like, I fucked my wife. Also, like they show his wife. I don't know what's happening in this panel exactly, but she's saying now as her face is illuminated. I'm assuming she's having an orgasm, or he is having, or they're both having an orgasm.
I assume it's something. Yeah,
he is very.
It's
bright.
a climax of action. So
yeah.
Some other climax, perhaps.
And everybody's saying now. Yeah, basically she's saying now. Everybody's saying now, real loud. And so, yeah. They just, she loves that Miracle Man.
She loves Miracle something.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like I said, there's a weird interlude where like Miracle Man has now made love to his wife and then like went outside to chill.
Yeah, gonna go out and stretch for a bit.
Yeah, and he meets like this kid in some bushes and he just talks to this kid. I don't think it really matters that too much, other than it was supposed to just like set it up that he comes back and he's like, hey Liz, I met this fun chum or whatever, and then like we see the apartment is broken into and she's gone, she's been kidnapped. And
yeah, I think I guess it was just for him to get out so she could get kidnapped.
Yeah, that's literally what it had to be. Like, I'm like, what is this? Why are we talking to this child? I don't know. This is the only like I don't know why this is an issue, but it was. But that was a full issue in it. I would be pissed if that was the full issue I read in the magazine I bought. Like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens to the next Miracle Man. It's like Miracle Man talks to a child. Guess what? In this fast-paced issue, Miracle Man talks to a kid in the bushes for some weird reason.
Hey, little Jason, guess what? I'm a superhero.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, mister.
Yeah, it was basically like, Captain Planet or something. Like just and knowledge is half the battle, or and then where the fuck is my wife? And so yeah, his wife is kidnapped, and immediately he calls Mr. Cream and is like, where's my fucking wife? And he's like, I don't know anything about this. What's going on? And he's like, you don't know anything about it? Then like, who else knew about my secret identity? And he goes through it, and he says Bates, like, because Johnny Bates is the invalid. So I guess he thinks maybe Johnny told them, but Johnny's not awake yet, so that's not possible. What it actually is Dr. Gargunza knows all, is what it is. So we see he has kidnapped Liz and brought her down to Paraguay, and he's like looking at her through like body scans or whatever in this room, and you can see the little fetus inside of her, the little miracle baby. And he's like, extremely admirable. Like he's very excited that this woman is pregnant with the miracle baby. They contact or Mr. Cream contacts the government because now they think, well, maybe it was them. And then they're like, fuck no, it was not us. Please do not tell him it was us. Like, he is very adamant that it is not them. And this was very funny because you can see the fear in his face when he's like, someone kidnapped his wife, and he's pissed. Was it you? And he's like, I swear to fucking God on my children's lives and all that is holy, I did not kidnap this man's wife or whatever. So he's like, I believe him. Like, and so it wasn't him. So then like basically we do find out it is Dr. Gargunza that has done this. And he kind of, at the end of this, he introduces himself to Liz and he says like, Miss Morin, I'm Dr. Gargunza, and like, I am the father of your miracle man, and now he will be my father. And then he like touches her baby or her stomach, and you're like, the fuck is he talking about? And yeah, it's a very weird line. He's like, I'm Miracle Man's father, and now he will be mine. So You're like, he's gonna do something with that
Like,
baby.
what is that? Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah. And so I'm right now, as of this point, it hasn't been too crazy. It gets crazy in about 2 issues, I would say. But this is all like kind of just setting up that Miracle Man's trying to find his wife, and she's going through tests with Dr. Gargunza. Um, and now that Mr. Cream has found out, oh, Dr. Gargunza is the main bad guy that has your wife, obviously, we'll go there. And
But it's weird. Why did they hopped on a plane? Like Miracle Man puts on a suit and they hop on a plane.
Yeah, I don't know why. Did they even say like, oh, it's because I can't fly you because you would get like killed or something? Or I don't know.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was probably something like that.
I think it was that. I remember that. But yeah, it was just like, well, I can't fly with you, so if I'm going to be down there with you, we got to go by plane. And like, but Miracle Man is like, why are we going so slow? Like, he's in Michael's head, like, he's in Miracle Man's body, but he's like, he's in a suit. He's not in Miracle Man garb or whatever, and he's like anguishing inside of his mind. Like,
and he turned down his sparkle somehow.
Yeah. Well, he's got a suit on, so maybe.
I think he did it when he was naked.
I think he only sparkles for her. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
When he's excited.
Oh, yeah.
If you notice, he only sparkles when he's killing or when he's fucking. So, I think it's like an excitement thing or whatever. But yeah, they go all the way down to Paraguay. So let's say that took 13 hours at minimum. No, it's from England, so there's got to be longer than that. That's a long fucking flight that he had to wait. That's crazy. But yeah, so they have Dr. Gargunza, like now he's testing Liz, and he's seeing the baby inside of her, and he's like, oh my god, it's there. Like,
it's so beautiful.
So beautiful. Look at her face. It's barely formed and unaware, but it's so beautiful, so strange. And like he's getting creepy about this baby, let's put it that way. And in the meantime, Mr. Cream, they have time to like get a hotel and like chill there, and like because I guess they don't know exactly where the lab. I'm not exactly sure why they have to chill out so much, but like they get a room, and Mr. Cream's having like a nightmare about like dying in the jungle or whatever. Like his ancestors and stuff he was saying, and and then you thought this part was weird. We cut back to Dr. Gargunza, and he's having a nightmare, and it's like the baby opens its eyes and looks at him, and he's like terrified.
They like lock eyes in his dream or whatever, and he's like, "Oh God!" And it was weird. Yeah, his like bodyguard comes in. He's like, "Everything okay in here?"
Yes,
like, yeah, everything's fine. I just I want that baby so bad.
Yeah, and that's what you were like. I wasn't sure exactly what it meant. I'm like, I think it's just he's so surprised the baby's that developed already, because I think he just heard about this pregnancy, right? So like, it is obviously progressing faster than normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally been maybe a month's time for all this,
right? Or even less. I mean,
yeah.
From the last issue, I couldn't tell you when it was. So I was just assuming a month because issues take a month to come out, I think. So, but yeah, like they have, the baby looked at him, and I thought it was like he's so excited that he can't wait for it, and then he sees a light approaching, and I took this to mean like Miracle Man is literally like flying at them or whatever. Like that light is not the sun, it is Miracle Man. Even though it looks kind of like the sun coming up, I took it to mean like Miracle Man is on fire-ish and flying towards them. But maybe I was wrong about that. But then we cut to like the past, and we get a little bit of a like a lesson on how the miracle people were made. So we already knew Dr. Gargunza was working for the government and like a super soldier program, kind of like Captain America, and he used orphans.
3 orphans.
Yeah, 3 orphans to do this test on, and we get like he put them in a scenario like in their minds so that they would be brainwashed. Like they're trying to condition their minds to think that they're these superheroes, and then also like they need them to not be aware that there's another world kind of thing, right? That there's a second world. So they have him in like this Aquaman-esque world, and they're like, "Gee Willikers, Miracle Man," like, and they call him
Yeah,
MM, which I thought was fun because they can't say Miracle Man, so but they're
I
like,
like that they go back to the like kind of like 50 style art here too. It
"Yes,
was
yeah,
nice to see again.
yeah," and he's like, "Gee Willikers, MM, like, look at that kingdom," and then we see it's like Sleepy Town under the sea, but it looks like Trident's, you know, King Trident from Little Mermaid or whatever. It looks like his castle. And then like it's funny because they're going through this dream, and like Miracle Man out of the other two is the only one who's like suspicious that what something this doesn't feel right. Like it's almost like his consciousness is aware that he's being fooled or something. And
Yeah,
so every time he starts questioning, they just like up the fantasy. They keep like adding more fantastical elements to bring him back into the fantasy. So eventually, like we're like in a sea castle, and then there's like a Gulliver's Travel man on the ground, and then there's like vampires and werewolves and shit that
yeah.
attack. It just doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah, I was gonna say that it kept like it was weird how they like to me that would make it more suspicious, but I guess because they kept like tricking the brain with just something else, like that's
yeah,
just so fantastical.
yeah, it's like
You're
a
like, whoa,
dream. It's like in your dream, you'll be like, "Am I awake or something?" And then all of a sudden, the monster will come through the door. Like, "Oh, no time to think about that. Got to fight this monster." So,
yeah,
so yeah, that's basically what they were setting up. And this is maybe like the adventures they actually had in the original comics. I don't know. I didn't read the original Marvel Man stuff from Eclipse, and because that's what it was called originally, Marvel Man or whatever. So,
Marvel Man.
or it wasn't from Eclipse; it was from Warrior magazine or whatever. But yeah, so they keep throwing like Dr. Gargunza keeps implanting different obstacles, and then but Miracle Man is fighting it. He's still like, I don't feel like this is right. And then we cut to the like they do a pause on this story because there's like a weird, like I said, there's only 12 pages an issue or whatever, so they like fast forward. They'll like jump to another topic the next time or whatever. So the next topic in this one is actually the story of Dr. Gargunza.
Yeah, he like he kind of like I guess tells Liz his past.
Yeah, because she's like, "What's wrong with you?" or whatever.
You're
And like,
weird.
yeah, and she's also like, "What do you want to do with me?" And he's like, "Let me tell you about my story." And so, basically, it's all about like how he was like a genius as a kid, and then he worked for like a cartel guy, and then one day that cartel guy um like got drunk and hit him, and the cartel guy didn't realize that he was the power, like that Dr. Gargunza had was in charge of everything so much because of his intellect. The other guys, like he was paying the other guys, he was doing the accounting for this whole cartel, he was running everything. So like this guy was just a figurehead kind of, he was the puppet who thought he was in charge, and then he struck Dr. Gargunza, and Dr. Gargunza came at him, and it says he you know he hit me, and then it was like, fuck you. Like he just basically found the guy, took all the men, they captured the leader, they made him watch as Dr. Gargunza raped his wife, and then he beat him to death with a baseball bat. And
Yeah,
so like that's when you're like, oh, this is the creation of that monster or whatever. And then like that was while he was in Mexico because he was born in Mexico. And then this is like him as a teenager, just like he's 15 or whatever when he did that. And then he goes to Germany in the 20s. Great time to go to Germany. And then
yeah.
so at first it was all
just a leading scientist there. And
yeah, and he was all philosophy and stuff, and he's talking to Heidegger and people like that about stuff. And then he meets Hitler, and he's like, you know what, Hitler, not that bad of a guy. And so then he becomes like part of that whole super soldier stuff with them. And then he like saw the war, as the war was getting bigger and bigger, he's like, oh, the Germans are going to lose. So he defected to England. And then he brought the super soldier plan to them, So that's how that got all set up. And this whole time he's telling the story, we see this little dog on his lap. And
yeah, he's got like a little white terrier.
It's basically like a Toto. Yeah, it's like a little Yorkshire Terrier or something. I don't know, but yeah. And so they show this dog prominently for a reason. We'll get to it in a second. But at first I was like, oh, I guess he loves his dog. That's weird. I wouldn't think he's talking about Hitler and this thing.
I put it to all the big bads have like a little pet, like Dr. Evil's little cat.
Oh, okay.
Which is also like an ode to the James Bond character that has the cat, and then
right. So as he's telling this and petting his dog and everything, he says, once he got to England, there was one night that he got woken up by like a poison gas scare, in quotations. That wasn't really a poison gas scare. It was basically some extra dimensional being, like a alien or something. They crash landed, like alien spaceship basically, and so they have an alien spaceship. They went inside. They found a being that had two selves, like it had accidentally merged with itself or something, and that's what killed it. I can't remember exactly how it happened. I don't think they know how it happened really, but
yeah,
basically this is where he gets his idea. Like he says it's like, imagine if you're an astronaut and instead of having to put a suit on, you could just say like a word or a thought and the suit would be on you. So it's like in all situations you are ready with whatever suit you need, kind of thing. And that's what this technology was used for the aliens. But he's like, but I thought of, what if you did it to a human and you use the alien DNA to make a clone of the human that would be like superhuman, and then you have your regular human body as the other suit, and so a word is said and they're switched out in these dimensional planes or whatever. So he reveals that, and then this is also, we saw this skeleton and we didn't realize it in the last book, but on the table there was the weird double-headed creature, and like that was fused in the middle and everything. And then also there was a double-headed human that we were saying, oh, it's a Siamese twin or whatever, or conjoined twins. But but apparently that was maybe a failed attempt at this that was with humans that he had done. So
yeah,
interesting to see this story and then look back on the original.
Especially because it looked a little more like a dinosaur, and this is like definitely like very much more alien-esque.
Yes, yeah, the skull looked like a dinosaur, we thought, but then in this you're like, oh, it's just some weird alien. And he says like something must have happened where he like the two worlds got fucked up and like the two dimensions accidentally like came on top of each other or something and fused together, and that's what caused the explosion and the ship to crash. And so that's where he gets his idea, for this whole MiracleMan program. And also we find out this is like the big reveal at the end. He's like, and this is all because, like, this whole MiracleMan thing is all because I wanted to be immortal. So, he found out that like you can't be older than, what is it, 30, I guess is what it would be, because Michael was 29 or something. And so you can only be a certain age or to be one of these miracle men, or to be getting this program, because at a certain point it won't take, like the dimensional crossover body won't accept you or something. And so he's like, basically I wanted to be one of these guys, but I was too old at this time. So then I realized, wait, all I need is a mind that's not fully formed, like a baby that's super, and I could like transfer my consciousness into it. And then she's like,
the baby.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, oh my God. And we basically find out he's going to steal her baby. He means to take super baby and fuse his mind with her. So he'll have a super mind and a super body and
be able to rule all, basically.
Exactly. With the iron fist. I don't know.
I did like when he's telling his story, like, and he comes up with like them being superheroes, like it looks like he's basically reading Shazam.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's what he came up with. The idea of it was he actually saw a picture of the Captain Marvel comic book. That's what it was.
Yeah,
and he read it and he was like, "It's so simple," because they were trying to figure out how do we get them to be programmed without them discovering that this is a program kind of thing. And basically he figured out, wait, if we put like a secret identity, like this superhero thing in them, and give them all these adventures and shit that they've lived and all that, that will automatically kind of make the brain accept this thing. That's his theory, at least, and it does work, which is why he makes the miracle family. And even that, he says, I made this family, like the Miracle Man, Young Miracle Man, and Kid Miracle Man. But then he also made two others called Rebec and Lear. They came later, so we don't know who they are. We haven't seen them yet. So there's two other Miracle family members, which is interesting. And then it shows that like them painting the suits on the kid Miracle Man, and it's some kind of weird. I don't know if it's like it's got to be a suit that's indestructible, right? It's not like made of cloth. They're literally painting it on, like spraying it on him with the paint sprayer or whatever. So it's some kind of material, alien material or something, possibly.
Yeah, which is also weird because they can obviously take it off. So
yeah, I don't even know if they take it off though. When did he take it off before? Oh yeah,
because Miracle Man's naked. Yeah,
he was naked. That's right. So I don't know. Maybe this was the first iteration of it or something. Maybe later on his actual suit. But maybe. Yeah. So
either way, it's interesting to see where he got it from.
Exactly. It was cool to see him. They literally have Shazam, like a book and a picture of, like, there was no way that DC would print that back in the day without it being like copyright infringement or whatever. But
100%.
I'm surprised Marvel got away with reprinting it in these, because Marvel, they didn't show a name or anything, but it's obviously Captain Marvel, or Shazam.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, well, because it's him, and then there's like a couple people behind the Shazam family or whatever.
Yeah, no, and they're direct. It looks exactly like them. Like, I mean, you get the Thunderbolt and everything on the chest. Like, it's very much the exact replication of those characters. So I'm surprised DC let them do it, but maybe because Marvel has the Marvel Man franchise name or whatever, because they sued DC for that. So maybe that's why they could do it, because they're like, no, maybe. It's not Shazam, it's Marvel Man.
It's Marvel Man.
So who knows? But yeah, so then we cut back to the fantasy world, like, where Dr. Gargunza was brainwashing them earlier in the sea world with vampires and everything. So this is how he got to that point where he was like, realized, hey, wait, we need to do some superhero scenarios where they think they're part of this, bigger thing, and it will brainwash them. So we're at, I guess, that original sea monster, or like not sea monster, where the vampires were inside of the sea castle and everything. That was their first attempt, or this is like in the middle of their first attempt, I guess, still, of brainwashing them. So he keeps throwing shit at them, because Michael keeps going like, something is wrong. Something is weird about this. It doesn't make sense, chums, or whatever. And they're like, what are you talking about? We beat all these vampires. That makes perfect sense. Like, the kid, I think it's because he's older, probably. He's the oldest. Yeah. So the other kids were easier to convince that this is like a real scenario. But Michael, they throw everything at him. They throw hot women at him. There's like all these like sea enchantresses that are like, thank you for saving us, and they're like all over Young Miracle Man. He's like, no problem, girls. Like he totally buys that these ladies are into him. But Miracle Man is like, no, something's wrong.
No, this is wrong.
Don't be seduced. This is super fucked up. And then at the very end, there's like a evil magician in this like I guess it's the hall, the what's it called? Like the big hall that they're in, and of this castle. And he's like, it's that guy. It's an evil magician or whatever. And he grabs him. And this is like one of the cool parts, is he grabs the magician, and it's like Dr. Gargunza's face he's watching this dream, by the way. Dr. Gargunza is watching this program happen on a screen, so he can see what Miracle Man is seeing. And so Miracle Man is getting madder and madder. He's starting to sparkle in his body and everything, which means he's gonna like wake up, because he's like actually about to, freak the fuck out and wake up. So, but Dr. Gargunza's face appears on this bad guy's face. He reveals, he's like, pull your mask off, sir, reveal yourself. And it's Dr. Gargunza. And so this is like where Dr. Gargunza makes like a like fatal mistake or whatever, I guess. Is he like, he puts himself, he's like, it is I, Dr. Gargunza, you're big, evil bad or whatever.
Nemesis, yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes, but it was all a dream. And like he pushes a button, and then like all of a sudden they wake up like, oh, that was a crazy dream we all had together in this field. And like, so they all wake up, and that was enough to convince Michael, because that's why it was so wacky, right? Like the problem was that it was too wacky for his mind. But now he's seen Dr. Gargunza's face, and that's why I think later on in the dreams and stuff, like Dr. Gargunza is always like the bad guy in the old comics and stuff. You know, like those are supposed to be the dreams that they had. And so, but yeah, basically he set it up. It was all a dream, and that was like the fatal flaw, I guess. Is he made it seem like it was just all a dream, but Mike never really kind of, he buys it, but there's always, he's the oldest one. He's the most suspicious of this whole thing.
Yeah.
So then
we, yeah, this is, and finally now we see that the light is getting closer, much closer.
Yeah, and it's like a shooting star explodes into this building, and this is like one of the best pages ever. So, and this, I love the name of this issue is Every Dog Has Its Day, and we get this for a reason. Like the name of this title is there for a reason for sure. But MiracleMan is flying through this building, and the way that they drew his arc of his body, like as he punches through this whole base or whatever, because he's pissed, right? He's like, "This is my fucking wife," and so he just starts punching through everything, everybody, and his face is terrifying as he walks in. He walks into the lab. He's like, "Gargunza, I've come to kill you." Like, there's no like, you're going to prison or any of that shit. He just walks in. He's like, "I'm going to kill you." And Dr. Gargunza is like, "Ah ha ha. Well, no, you haven't. Quite the reverse, in fact." And then he says the word Abraxas. And when he says that, MiracleMan turns into Michael Morin. Old fat Michael Morin. He's in his wife beater, like at the beginning of this when they were arguing. And
what the hell?
He's in his, sleep pants or whatever. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Kimoda," and he doesn't turn back into MiracleMan. And so what we find is he's made basically a safe word. Like, of course, he's like, "I'm the guy who created you, dumbass. I made a safe word," or multiple words, probably that are safe words, but this word specifically is the one that turns you back into your real self for an hour. So you can't change back for an entire hour. And he's like, "And you know what? I have another person for you to meet as well." And so Michael's like, Cream, I need your help. Like because Cream is with him. Cream has actually gone to save Liz and pulled her back. So he actually has done that. And then he's like, check it out. Check out this little thing I have. And he gets his little puppy, his little Yorkshire Terrier or whatever. And he puts it on the ground. And he's like, "Pluto, listen carefully. Steppenwolf." And he says Steppenwolf. And Steppenwolf is the magic word for this dog's. It's Miracle Dog.
It's Miracle Dog.
Miracle Dog is the most ferocious looking alien fucking velociraptor dog ever. It literally has terrifying. It has super sharp claws that don't even have to like touch you seemingly to cut you. They're so fast and it's so like crazy, but it turns into this big fucking alien dog, kind of like the Predator dogs.
Yeah,
the hunter dogs or whatever for the predators. That's the closest thing I would call it, but like they have razor sharp claws like a velociraptor though. So
yeah, they're just really gigantic, like super bold, like they're huge and they're scary, and it's kind of almost like reminded me of like a fish.
Yes,
was it angler fish?
Yeah, I can see that for sure, like a grouper or whatever, just like a ugly fucking fish. Yeah, because it's got spines and stuff. It's definitely like an alien dog, though. I don't know if he cloned it from something on the ship or whatever, but he got it somehow. And so that's why Every Dog Has Its Day. That's why this one's called that, because it comes out, and then we get a really interesting way of telling the story of this next issue. Is we see Mr. Cream. Normally he has sunglasses on, but this time he doesn't, and we just see his head. In some like a really tall grassy area, and there's blood coming from the top of this grass. So it's like, huh, what's going on? Then we cut back to the second that dog turned to a into whatever the
creature.
Steppenwolf, the miracle dog, we'll call it miracle dog. And so basically Cream came out of nowhere with the wife, was like, you needed help, and he's like, I heard you call my name, and he's like, yeah. And then she's like, I told you it wasn't Miracle Man's voice, it was Mike's. And so yeah, basically their escape plan has been fucked, and they get captured. And then they're like, you know what's fun, since we have this miracle dog out, why don't you guys run, have a little game, of hide and seek, or hunt and pray, or whatever. And so they like, Cream starts running, Michael starts running, they're running from this dog now, this miracle dog. This is where we see, this is why the beginning looks like it did, is because Cream is the first one to encounter the dog. It kind of finds him no problem, and it comes at him, and it literally just like swipes at him, and his head falls off.
Yeah.
And we don't really see it, but he's like, I don't really feel anything. And then all of a sudden he sees his head is level with the grass, and he's like, oh fuck. And so
it's not. Yeah, it's not tall grass. It's just grass.
He just realizes, oh, it's I died. I'm dead now. And then it catches up with Mike right away too. And Mike has a gun in his hand, and the funny thing is, here's the great thing. So we don't see what it does after it gets Mr. Cream, but it starts feeling bad as it approaches Mike, and it throws up. And it throws up his teeth, which were made
up the sapphire teeth
of sapphires. Yeah. So throws up blood and sapphires is what it says. And so it just ate, Mr. Cream, and now he can see that, and Mike's like, oh shit, you ate Mr. Cream. And so it comes for him. He pulls out the gun. Once again, we see Mr. Cream's famous silenced revolver, the only one in his existence. And and so yeah, it lunges at Mike, and it cuts off two of his fingers, his pinky and his ring finger on his right hand where the gun was being held. And so it's basically bearing down on Mike. Mike's running away now, and it's toying with him, kind of like a cat plays with its prey or whatever, as it's getting him. And in the meantime, we see like the Nazis, because the facility is all like made like armed by Nazis or whatever, like all the henchmen and everything are actual Nazis from like Germany that I guess he brought to South America after the war.
The timeline, it all kind of makes sense.
Yes, yeah. Like I said, the Nazis are looking around, and they see Mr. Cream, and they're like, holy shit, it killed him completely. That's crazy. And then now they're looking for Michael. So Michael's now fighting this dog that's playing with him, this alien miracle dog. And it's on his chest, and it's basically going to bite his face off. And he's like, what the fuck was that word? What was that word that he said? And he realizes what it is. He's like, Steppenwolf. And the dog turns back into a little baby.
The little tiny pooch.
Yeah, the little Yorkshire, little white, puffy fluff ball. And he's like, and then I bash its brains out. And he picks up a rock, and he murders this dog.
It's so horrible.
Like no one's ever murdered a dog before in a comic. I was like, this is beyond. I mean, Rorschach kills those two dogs in Watchmen or whatever. This is like even more hardcore than that, I feel. Because they show the little dog like, what happened? I'm just a little puppy. Like, I didn't know what happened. I'm just a little dog. I'm just cute. And he's like, get the fuck out of here, dog. And like, yeah, just beats it to death with a rock. So it's super fucked up.
Yeah.
And they find the Nazis that were looking for Mike, find that dog eventually. And they're like, wait, what does it mean? Like, it's the Uberhound. They call him the Uberhound. And like, and they're like, but that means that. And they're like, how long has it been? And they're like, an hour. And as they say that, you hear boom behind them. And Mike has said Komoda, and he has turned into MiracleMan. And he is pissed.
I love this page. They're like, oh no, what is that? He's like, yeah, well, it means that time's up, and so is yours.
Yeah. And this is where you get like a little bit of a sinister side of MiracleMan, although he is killing Nazis, so I get it. And he's also killing the people that stole his wife. So but he does have a very big smile on his face that is very creepy, and the like the terrifyingness, like it is truly terrific, if you know what I mean. Like it's it's not in a good way. Like his face just looks evil as fuck, even though he's killing, and you can see why like Lex Luthor might have a point. You know what I'm saying? Like these Supermen, can we control them? If they wanted to, they could kill all of us. But basically, we see him smiling as he's approaching these Nazis that were looking for his body, and he grabs two of their heads, and he proceeds to pick their bodies up and smash their heads together, and they explode, eyeballs and brains and everything all over the place. And I love the name of this issue, which is in the panel where he's exploding their heads. It's called "The Wish I Wish Tonight," and which is just magical. You know, it's like a fun. I like the way they did the title pages on this comic for sure.
Yeah.
And then this is funny. The Nazi guy the last Nazi stands up because there was three of them. So the last Nazi stands up. He's like, "It's you. For 40 years we have waited for the Overman. You have come at last with your blonde hair and your blue eyes." And he's like, "Yes. So you can go now." And he like just pushes his hand through the guy's body. Just pushes his arm through his heart. And
Like,
his
yeah,
chest.
just like it's nothing.
Yeah. And he just, yeah, and like the guy's like doesn't even register that he feels it or anything. He just literally murders the dude. Crazy. I don't know. It just looks crazy the way he like puts his finger in his chest, and then the next shot is just his hand behind him, like through his body. So it's a good shot. And then he's like Gargunza, and then this is like a great shot too. It shows him fly as fast as he can, and he's not moving for trees or buildings or people. He's flying through trees, through rocks. He sees a guard. He flies through the guard. The body explodes. We see all this gore, and then he goes down into the lab. And before Dr. Gargunza can say the word Abraxas again, he smashes his larynx. So he like crushes the doctor's larynx, and he's like,
Yeah.
He's like, "And now you can't say anything. And now we're gonna go for a little trip." And he takes Gargunza up into space to look at the Earth, and he's like, "I show you what you wanted, to like the view you always wanted. You wanted the view of a god. Well, here you go." And he like brings him up into space, so he's like suffocating in the vacuum of space and all this shit.
Yeah.
And then, in the greatest move ever, he throws him. Well, first he kisses him, which I thought was weird. But then as you see like his glasses frosting over, he throws the doctor into the world, back onto Earth.
Very Dragon Ball Z, just like, ugh.
Yeah. He throws him back, and Dr. Gargunza literally burns up in the atmosphere and comes to Earth just as a skeleton, like parts of a skeleton as they hit the ground.
Yeah. That's pretty fantastic.
And I love it because he's like, you just hear like Star Bright. Oh, don't mind the noise in the background. We got John's dog.
Oh, or my dog. You guys hear my dogs? Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. And we got Starlight, Star Bright. First star I see tonight, and you see Dr. Gargunza's body flying through the air, and it's all like on fire and everything. It's like, wish I might have a wish tonight, and then you see his skull hit the ground. So that's the end of Dr. Gargunza. So I feel like that was like a really solid story arc where I'm like, that was like the introduction of his big bad and the complete annihilation of his big bad. I don't think I've ever seen a comic literally deal with a bad guy that crazy. And like I'm pausing here because literally that's like the end of that story arc where it's like, Dr. Gargunza is no more and we don't have to worry about it.
So you're also like, okay, well, that was crazy. I guess now is a wrap up, so it's not going to be any more crazy, right?
Right. No, it gets fucking crazier. So, like we said, he has saved Liz, and they're like, I guess, back at home. Actually, I don't even think they're back at home yet. I think she just is asleep on Dr. Gargunza's bed in this palatial estate that he has, And then we hear like, wake up now, it's time. And that's the baby. The baby is literally talking to her inside of her. And she's like, what time? And she wakes up. She's like, ow, oh my God, Mike, are these contractions? And then she remembers what happened, because I guess they put her to sleep in one of Dr. Gargunza's bungalows when they captured them. So she still doesn't know what happened to Mike or Mr. Cream or Dr. Gargunza, and she's like, she just remembers seeing that big miracle dog and Mike terrified, And so she comes out and she's like, "Oh my god!" And she starts walking through the house, and she starts seeing the destruction and the mayhem. She sees all these bodies torn apart. Everything is fucked. Like the whole, house, the whole house that she wasn't in, the side of that is just torn apart and like broken and on fire. And then she sees a light. And this is this is one of the greatest. Also, like I said, the splash pages, the title pages of this are great. We see MiracleMan just appears in front of her, and there's a light that looks like a cross, and the name of this issue is called "Scenes from the Nativity," and so she's having constructions. He's like, "Hey, baby," and she's like, "Oh my god, I thought you were dead. That dog, what happened?" And he's like, "Don't worry, it's all gone away. I took care of it. They're gone."
Yeah, I just love he's like, "It's gone now." He doesn't say what happened, just that the dog, Gargunza, they're gone.
Yeah, they're all gone. And so he's like, "Don't worry, we'll go. You're having contractions. Get in this truck." And they there's like an old World War II like Nazi truck or whatever. And they she puts him in it, or he puts her in it, and he just like picks the truck up and starts flying. That way she can not be hurt by whatever, the wind, I guess, and stuff. But she's like, "Oh my god, like we're almost in space. She can see the moon like better than she's ever seen it," kind of thing. And then he's flying, and then he's like, "I don't think we have time. You know what? I'm just gonna deliver this baby on my own." And then we cut to like a lead into I guess what the next story arc is going to be about, basically. But we see two weirdly looking people who are like dressed in black, a male and a female, and they walk into the mentally ill hospital for children, which is where Kid MiracleMan is being held. And they like show their badge, which says Royal Air Force, and like the whole time we see this, they're talking to each other like psychically, I think, because they're not talking outwardly. Like they just point to their badge. They don't talk to the nurse or anything. And then so they go to see Bates, and they start talking to Bates, and they're like, "Child Bates, we are here to talk with you. We wish information of your changed self. Is he still viable in these spaces?" And like,
they go to talk to him in his head, though.
Oh yeah, it's in his head, like because he's inside of his, his vegetative state, so it's in his safe space inside his head. They're talking to him there, so you're like, "Oh, this is like a weird thing," and they're like, "Huh, he's showing no indication of hearing us or anything. He must be harmless. It's fine then." And so they leave, and then you see Kid MiracleMan's body next to Johnny, and then he's like, "That's good. They went away. What the hell were they?" And he's like petting Johnny like a fucking cat or whatever. Like, and so it's just the creepiest fucking guy, right? But so then we come back to MiracleMan, and he's landed the truck, and he's pulled his wife out, and she is giving birth. And when I say she's giving birth, I mean he is literally.
He's like, "I'm going to deliver this baby."
Yeah, and he is. How do I say this tactfully? He is helping her vagina open for the baby, and he is like basically acting like a doctor. He's pulling out the head himself. Like his hands are forceps, basically. Like he is helping all of this come along, and we are seeing every inch of her, if you know what I mean. So this is the most graphic thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
in a comic, I'm going to say. I mean, violence is one thing. That's fairly common. I have never seen someone give full birth in a comic. I don't think you ever will, especially from like DC or Marvel or anything. But this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in a comic, that they just showed like a full birth. And I mean,
if you
good on
ever
them.
wanted to know what the miracle of birth, as they say, looks like.
And also, but the idea that it's born from like a god, like this guy is just like, "Let me help you," and he's like, helping the baby's head come out, and he's like supporting it, and then he's like, look, that's our daughter. So then they have a daughter. um it's just super crazy, like the way that they show it is just very surprising. Then, as John said, then we get to see the birth of one of the ugliest babies he's ever seen, who is Miracle Baby.
Yeah, they have tears in their eyes. They're so happy. But this miracle baby looks like a 40-year-old alcoholic man's head on on a baby body.
It looks like what's the Quado? Is that the guy's name from
Oh yeah, Quado, it does.
from from Total Recall.
Total Recall, yeah.
Yeah. The mutant inside of that one guy's stomach. It looks like they pulled that out of the guy's stomach, and
it looks like the old lady from Goonies.
Yes, the mom,
the mom
from the train.
Yes.
Yeah, very much like that. But yeah, the baby is very like awake and alive and everything.
And hungry.
And hungry. It automatically latches onto her boob, and then as it's latching onto her boob, it says "Mama," and they're like, "What?"
Her first word.
Yeah, we get the shock of the first word kind of thing. So then we cut back to those two, whoever they were. They said they were Royal Air Force agents, but they're obviously not. They're a little bit more. But we see they are talking on a park bench, and they're talking to each other psychically. So they're just sitting on a park bench, and they're very obviously aliens because they're talking about. Have we located all of them or whatever? And then we see they're like, we've located most of them. And then we see like the all the bodies. I guess this is like the pocket dimension where all the bodies are being held, like the storage facility, I guess, for the dimensional beings. And we see Miracle Dog, the miracle body there. We see Michael Morin, because obviously Miracle Man is out in the real world, so his body gets put in this little dimensional pocket too. We see all these other people. We don't know quite who they are, but you might assume like the one that's red and yellow might be young Miracle Man. And then we get kind of one of the funnier aspects of this idea. Remember before last book we were talking about, last episode we were talking about how of course the wife is going to want the perfect God version of you, right? Well, guess what? She doesn't want the perfect God version of you while she's breastfeeding her baby back at home, and like she wants her goddamn husband Mike, who will help her out and not be perfect and remind her of being perfect all the time.
Yeah, who's going to understand this plight and be able to actually help take care of this baby?
Yeah, not a perfect God. They'll be like, why don't you just make it stop or whatever, and we're finding out that basically this baby is incredibly hungry. It is like sucked her milk dry in her body, so they have to figure something out about that. And so she's like, I just want to talk to Mike. Mike is my husband. Bring Mike back. And Miracle Man's like, oh, if that's what you want, I guess so. And he looks so sad. He's like, I thought you'd always want me or whatever. So then he goes over, he says Komoda. He turns back into Mike. But what we forgot was, what she forgot, or didn't know actually, was that Mike, the last time we saw Mike, before he turned into Miracle Man, he had just got his fingers cut off by Miracle Dog, and he was all beat the fuck up, and he was about to be murdered. So he's still bleeding from his two fingers being cut off, and he's like, oh my God, where am I? Is that the baby? And he just like sees his fingers, and then he passes out. And so she's like, oh my God, Mike. So then, they go to the hospital. Then we cut back to Kid Miracle Man in the hospital, and he is still vegetative. And we see inside of him, like on the outside, the nurse is like looking at him, his eyes and stuff, looking into him. And she's talking to him like he's not going to wake up and stuff. But then we see Kid Miracle Man, the avatar inside of his brain, is basically like, I can't believe, after those strangers came, like, how could you be so withdrawn? You should, stop being such a pussy or whatever. And then Kid, or Johnny, I guess the kid Johnny is like, stop it. You can't treat me like that anymore. Like, you don't have any power over me. And he stands up and he actually see, I've beaten you. Like, you can leave. I can leave you anytime I want. You're stuck in here in the dark all alone. And I'm going to leave you. And he actually wakes up and he says like, nurse, can I speak to a doctor? So at first you think Kid Miracle Man is defeated because he's in like hunched over position as Johnny woke up. But then now that Johnny's not paying attention, he actually looks up and he's like, what have you done? And he's like all happy that now he can control this kid again. He's got a possibility of getting out because now that Johnny's awake, he could say the word potentially and release him at any point. And so then we cut back to the Morin household, and the wife looks very, 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 very tired. She has just been feeding this baby nonstop, I'm assuming, with bottles and breast milk as she can make it. And Mike has been, obviously incapacitated at the hospital for a while, and he's back now. He has his hands wrapped. Up. Yeah, and he's, she's just like, I don't know what to do anymore. And like, she's just like, the baby has worn her out, which is kind of funny. But like, this is like, just imagine a baby already wears you out as a parent. What does a super baby do? It never goes.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't.
Literally, we're maybe a few days in, and the baby already has a full head of hair. Like is already growing and like learning things, and
it's already
and
playing
talking
with like the baby toys and everything. And they're like, they're not believing that it talked though. They're like, we'll see what happens. But like we thought we heard that one thing, but we didn't. Like, I haven't heard anything else. Have you? And they're like, no. And so they're like trying to not believe that it actually said mama. But then they find out they named her Winter. So Winter Morin is what they named the baby. And that is the miracle baby. And then we cut to kind of like the biggest part of this, I guess, is we actually the superhumans that were here, the aliens, they are trying to find another being, another person for some reason. We don't know who they are. And some doctor named Dr. Lear, if you remember, Lear was one of the names of the other miracle people.
Mm-hmm.
And so as they're like, they go to this doctor's receptionist, and she's like, oh, do you need to see Dr. Lear? Let me tell her. And she seems suspicious of them, like she knows who they are or something, because she says, the receptionist picks up and says, Dr. Lear, there's two people here to see you. And she's like, Dr. McCarthy, what was that? I didn't catch it. Kim who? And so she says Komodo, like she knows who she was, and she was in hiding apparently from these two beings. So she says Komodo and flies away. So she's some kind of super, probably like the Mary Marvel version, like whatever, sister of that team.
Yeah, we're gonna get a female hero now.
Yeah, and so
about time.
Yes, exactly. And then and then we get like a nice touching, scene where Mike wakes up and he's reading a book that's like how to be a super dad, which I thought was funny. And then like he goes to the baby's room and he's like, this is winter is such a cold name for such a warm little hopeful thing, and like I love this baby and she's so perfect. And he's like, look at her little perfect fingers and perfect fingernails and perfect eyes and perfect ear and perfect mouth with its perfect. And it grabs his finger and it's already teething apparently, because like it grabs it. He's like, and her perfect little teeth. Is it like as she bites onto his finger apparently? And then we cut to back to the same alien FBI agents or whatever who are looking for. They were looking for Dr. Lear, but they lost her now. And now they're like, well, we got to find Miracle Dog at least. And so they actually go to South America and they're like, oh, whew, here's the dog's form. It's dead. Like the other form. Like, we're good. Miracle Dog won't get out again, kind of thing. Then they do their magical words and blow away, turn into whatever they are and fly away. So that is
I do like the whatever their magical words are, because when they it's the first time they actually like talk out loud, and it's like some you can't tell, it's like a garbled alien language.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and so so they say their word, whatever, it's not Komodo, obviously. And they fly away, and we get the setup obviously for book 3, which is next week, is going to be that now Kid Miracle Man is awake, or Randy's. I'm sorry, not Randy. Johnny's
Johnny.
awake. And So Johnny's awake, but Kid Miracle Man inside of his head is now plotting to get out. And then also, these two are on the hunt for Mike Bourne now. They are gonna kidnap him or try to find him. So that's where they're going. And yeah, that's the end of book 2. So John, with that being said, what did you think of this?
I loved it. This was one of the few times where I feel like the middle book can be a lot of setup, because it's only 3 parts, you said, right?
Right. Yeah.
2 and 3. So a lot of times the middle can be like just basically a lot of setup and not as much action. But I felt like this was extremely well paced, extremely well written. The only kink in this entire was that
The
where
kid.
he taught it with the kid one, where he's like, "Hey, little kid, yeah, let me show you how I'm a Jason," or I think there's like the
Yeah.
second one.
Yeah.
It was the exposition to get his wife stolen.
Yeah.
That was a little weird, but besides that,
But it's only
this
8
was-
pages too, so it's like, it's not the
Yeah.
end of the world.
it's not. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it didn't ruin anything, obviously. Anyway, the action was fantastic in this. The art was fantastic, and then the setup is really good. Like I honestly don't know. Have you? I assume you've read the next one, right?
I have not actually. I was saving it for this. So
I've
I've never read the third one. You've never read the third one, so those.
I have 2 theories. I'm wondering if maybe the miracle people have to work together, like put their differences aside, especially with the Kid Miracle Man being like evil basically, to like stop these two, or like I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't think that's gonna happen, only because
Probably not. No, he seemed pretty evil.
I think he's like the big bad. That's my thought is he's gonna be the big bad that's gonna try to maybe take over the dimensional people or something, or I don't know, something like that. Because obviously these dimensional people, these other aliens are involved in this next story arc. So either that, or they all create like a Justice League to defeat him or something. Maybe that's
that could be cool too.
Yeah, like a big miracle or like a big dimensional superhero fast against Kid Miracle Man. So, yeah. But on that note, what would you give it, John?
I was great. I'm trying to remember what I gave Miracle Man. It was only or Miracle
I think
Man
you gave it an 8. I think we both gave it like an 8 or something.
And I did like this more. I'm gonna do for the first time exclusive, just because I don't know how. Like, it's not perfect, and it's not like I really liked it though, but it was also so intense sometimes. It's like, good lord. But I don't know how this last one's going to be, and I don't want to go, crazy high. So this gets an 8.5. My first point one. After all the times I get on you.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do points, you son of a bitch.
After all the times I get on you about you doing your points, I'm going to do this an 8.5. This is my first pointed one, but it is well deserved. It is a notch up from the first one. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 9 because to me this one was like so shocking. Like the completion of how, like, I did not know what was going to happen. Like when Dr. Gargunza turns Miracle Man back into Mike, I was like, what the fuck's gonna happen here? Like, is he gonna kill him? And then like what's gonna happen to the babe? Like I did not know what was gonna happen. And then when he finally, kills everybody and is literally smashing everybody's heads and everything when he turns back into Miracle Man. Just that whole arc was like, what the fuck? And then the baby being born is one of the, I think it has to be the most like the only time that will ever happen in a comic, unless there's like a sex ed comic from like school or something that I don't know about, but like how babies are born comic or something. But like this could be used for that. Like honestly, you could be like, hey kids, here's the issue of Miracle Man we reprinted just for health class or whatever, because here's how a baby's born. And minus the instead of a Miracle Man as a doctor, but generally
they just put a white coat on him.
Yeah, there you go. And less sparkles, but yeah. So I mean, that's so shocking, but like so also just like it needed to be there, right? Like, what would a Miracle Man do? He's like, fuck, I don't need a doctor. I'm goddamn Miracle Man, you know, like this is my child. I'm gonna birth it myself. And yeah, I don't know. It was like to me it was just like so shocking, but in like a good way, like a wow, this is incredible. I'm never gonna see this on a page again, kind of thing.
Yep.
So yeah, it was very, very cool. I thought this arc was fantastic. I love the way he kills Dr. Gargunza and everything. And just like I love the way he just like, oh, crush your larynx, like like you know, just boop, like you know, you can't say the magic word again. And you know, that everything about this was very cool. I'm like you said, I don't know what volume 3 is gonna be like, but I can only imagine it might be better. So that's why I might give this one a little bit higher if we weren't in the middle arc. So and then you did say like there's that section where the kid is like, hey, Mr. Miracle Man. So there's that whole little thing where I was like, why are we talking to children after we but I get why they needed to do it, but it was kind of weird. Like, how do we get him away from his wife? You know, like kind of thing. So
instead of smoking a cigarette, Miracle Man has to go take a walk.
Yeah, talk to children. But yeah, so while it's not perfect, I think this is like one of the strongest arcs of a superhero book ever. And just yeah, I really love this one. It was so shocking. So yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 9. You're gonna give it an 8.5. That's the first 0.5 by John Johnson. So enjoy it, everybody. And like we said, next week we are reading Miracle Man Volume 3. Whatever that one's called. I'm not sure. I think it's called Olympus or Olympia or something like that. So on that note, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planetrainsandcomicbooks, all one word, at gmail.com.
And don't forget about our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube channel for exclusive content. Matt is pumping it out. I will be on it here sooner than later. Yeah, check us out. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes if you haven't yet for us. And if you hate it, still rate us 5 stars on iTunes because you want to support.
You want to hate support.
You want to hate support.
Yeah, check out, we got our YouTube videos going up with all my reviews about comics and stuff. So check those out. Subscribe if you aren't, or if you feel like it. And yeah, we will see you on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.